community, primarily here in the United States, but also elsewhere. We got a lot of people going through real problems right now, real problems that extend far, far beyond just what words you use to describe them. Now, I understand each of these groups that are out here fighting for their rights feel very fervently about the things that they're saying. I understand that MMIW cares very much about missing and murdered Indigenous women. I know that BLM cares very much about Black lives. I know that the LGBT community is fighting hard for special rights, but here's the thing that's screwing us all over. There's special rights. This isn't equality. Many of the people I know within the LGBT community, well, I should say very specifically, most of the gay people I know, you can't tell they're gay unless they tell you they're gay. It's just simply not everybody's fucking business. But who are we listening to? Who are the news media? Out of all of your representatives within the LGBT community, who are the ones that are being paid attention to? The fucking fruitiest loops in the goddamn box. Well, we've got actual problems with people from the LGBT community being beaten to death. We also get to see that the majority of those beatings are because somebody who wanted to be outlandish, wanted to be cruel, and wanted to be demanding of rights that they're not allowing to others. I stick up for the LGBT community. I also blame the LGBT community for the disgusting things that are happening within the LGBT community. They're doing the same thing that BLM is. Thank you, ma'am. BLM wants to shut down the voices of any victim who's not black. I know a lot of black people who are racist against Mexicans. I know a lot of Mexicans who are racist against blacks. Meanwhile, how many of these Mexicans are actually Mexicans? How many of them from Chile? How many are from Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico is an American territory. And what language, what is their primary language in Puerto Rico? It's not English, it's Spanish. So when you go hating on a Mexican, keep in mind they might be American. Just because somebody is brown-skinned does not make them a Mexican. Now, when I say that brown people have taken care of me since I got to Oregon, that's not a joke. Who took care of me in Hardin, Montana? Was it the white people there? Fuck no, it wasn't. It was Lila Mountain Sheep and Mary Mountain Sheep and John Nomi and Gilbert. None of these are white people. Now with the LGBT community, yeah, you got to see that whole Bud Light fiasco. Most men are fine with you being gay. What they're not fine with is you throwing it in their face. They're not fine with you treating them like they're bad people because they're not interested in having sex with you. I am sick and tired of people in the LGBT community saying, oh, well, I can't change who I'm attracted to, but then you want to bully people into being attracted to you. Oh, I can't make myself attracted to women. We're not asking you to make yourself attracted to women. The thing is that men are bullied all the time by straight women and gay men. The dating pool, so to speak. You know, we get told that by these Me Too peoples that if we pressure a woman to have sex with us, then it's rape. Well, what if a woman does it? Is it rape then? Is Caroline Coffey really going to charge Jason Vogt with rape because he pressured her to have sex when she was 16? No, she's married. She lives in Washington State. She's miles away from Nebraska. I know plenty of heterosexuals that you couldn't tell they were heterosexuals. A lot of people assume that some of my heterosexual friends are homosexual because they have speech impediments. Meanwhile, many of the people that I know within the LGBT community intentionally utilize having a lisp. Why do they do that? Advertising. I've had more than one man with a lisp explain to me, hey, I talk like this because I want other homosexuals to know that I am a homosexual as well. Sean, I'm not sure if you notice this, but I do this with my wrists often, and I do it outward. And each of those means something to somebody in the gay community. Now, how are they going to know that I'm not gay if I don't give them some outward show that I am a homosexual? How am I supposed to get a date? How am I supposed to let another person who might be attracted to me who is a male, how am I going to let them know that it's okay to approach me if I don't use a lisp? If I don't do the limp-wristed thing? Now, I can understand that. A lot of people can understand that. You know, there's some women that I know who said, you know what, Sean, I dress in shorts, I dress in sweatpants, I put my hair up in a ponytail, and I do my thing. But when I dress up for a guy, you know, first of all, it'd be nice if he would acknowledge that I did so. But second of all, she's explaining that she dressed that way for a particular guy. Let's say you got a crush on Brandon, right? And you get all dressed up to the nines because you want Brandon to look at you. You want Brandon to pay attention to you. But he's meeting you somewhere public, and you have to walk 4 blocks through public dressed to the nines. There's a lot of other guys that are not Brandon that are going to look at you. Now, you may have only set up that advertisement specifically for Brandon, but the fact is that you're walking through public, and the public will judge you. They will look, they will stare, they will gawk. There are a couple of gay guys I knew in Colorado who had a crush on each other, and it wasn't my place to tell either one of them. That's the most fucked up part in that. 2 gay men telling me they had crushes on each other. Oh, don't tell him, 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 don't tell him. Both of these guys tell me, oh, don't tell him, don't tell him. What do you want me to do? Why are you telling me this every day about how in love with Steven you are? Why are you telling me how in love with Ryan you are? Why are you both doing this to me daily? Why are you eating up my time to do that? Is it that you really want me to tell them? Or is it that you really don't want me to? Because you're giving me a lot of heartache. You're giving me a lot of heartache by bringing that to me and then telling me, swearing me to secrecy. You know, maybe Ryan and Steven would have had a wonderful, wonderful relationship together. Steven at the time was, well, he's as gay gets. But also, Steven had a girlfriend at the time. That's right, a girlfriend. Did his girlfriend know he was gay? No. He didn't tell her, he told me. And then he didn't want me to tell his girlfriend. I did tell his girlfriend, by the way. Keeping something like that from your significant other, that's horrible. Why would you be with a woman if you're not attracted to a woman? And second of all, don't you think that maybe you should tell your girlfriend, hey, when we're doing the ditty, I'm pretending you're a man? Is she going to be comfortable with that? Well, how about if you just don't say anything about it? Well, what if your husband or your boyfriend is, in his own mind, pretending that you're a 7-year-old girl because that's what he's attracted to. When you find out that he's been pretending that you're a 7-year-old girl the whole time, is that going to make you feel good? Now, I know that being attracted to children is not the same thing as being attracted to somebody of the same gender, but the fact of the matter here is misleading your partner. Most heterosexuals in the United States don't have a problem with any of you being homosexual. No problem with that whatsoever. Now, when you have two homosexual men kissing each other on TV, I don't see a problem with that. I see heterosexual people kissing each other on TV. It's equal. I see lots of black people on TV doing lots of things that white people do on TV, lots of things that Hispanic people do on TV. These are just people things to do. At the same time, when we've got BLM cutting off a lot of different victims, and we've got the LGBT community cutting off a lot of different victims, and then we've got gay black men who are stuck in the middle, because a lot of black people are very, very, very anti-homosexual. I'm not sure if you were aware of this. I'm not sure if you're aware how much culturally homosexuals are hated. How universally hated by many hate groups. And many of these groups you don't see as hate groups. Does the LGBT community see them as a hate group when they're saying, hey, pay attention to us, not the other victims? And that is exactly what you're doing. Whether you're a victim who's gay or a victim who's straight, you are still victimized. If a man rapes a homosexual and a straight man, are we going to tell the straight man that he needs to go to the back of the bus because he's straight? Are we going to tell the gay man who was raped that, well, he should have enjoyed it because he's a man, he's a homosexual, he got what he wanted? Is that really what he wanted? No. Morning, Susan.
Morning.
I wasn't sure if you made other plans for today. I was pretty sure that you did.
I meet up with you on Mondays.
Yep.
But I was up in a room and I got my job back, I think. I'm waiting for her to call me back, and I was filling out job applications.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But we'll see.
I'm not trying to tell you that taking care of yourself is more important than helping me, but if you don't take care of yourself, you can't help me.
Yeah, and what I didn't think of it until today when I talked to Lori is maybe I could have done 2 hours a day until I got used to it, 3 hours a day. So I put the call in to see if Linda will go for that. And our habitat, so I will find out later.
I was gonna check my YouTube for my recordings just to make sure that I didn't screw up, but I'm actually here because there was 2 other people that were gonna help me today.
Oh, cool!
And I figured since I saw your car here, I'd check to see what you were doing, just in case I could give you about 20 minutes of the autism thing. But also, we did cover quite a bit of that yesterday. So, and you weren't even planning on helping yesterday, no. So you did badass. All
right, I'm gonna go before my battery starts doing anything weird. Hopefully it'll start, that is.
Yes, ma'am.
It's nice when it does.
Thank you, Susan. We got the LGBT community fighting for the same spot as BLM, fighting for the same spot as Me Too. All 3 of these groups fighting for the attention is preventing any of you from getting any positive attention. It's just 3 groups at each other's throats. Oh, well, we're the most victimized. We're the most marginalized. We got MMIW claiming that Native American women are the most marginalized people in the country. We got BLM claiming that black people are the most marginalized in the country. Nope, most marginalized are very specifically men, the disabled, and the homeless, and not in that order. When it comes to abuse by police officers, 96% of those killed by cops are men. Women commit more crimes than men, and we have recently come to find that out because so many women are openly bragging about it because they know there's no consequences. Openly bragging about it on YouTube, on Facebook. Openly bragging about it. Is there not a high enough body count already? See, the problem is MMIW is preventing BLM from being heard. BLM is preventing MMIW from being heard because both of them are vying for attention instead of saying, hey, maybe we should fucking work together. Meanwhile, none of these groups give a fuck about the homeless. None of them. The ACLU pretends to care. But if you got to make a call by yourself as a homeless male, you're fucked. You don't matter in this country. The fact is, systemic racism against whites is ever present. You can't get away from it. I want to ask you white people something. You white people in the LGBT community, how many times you been called a cracker? How many times you been called a honky? How many times have you called a black man the N-word? Yeah. Now that you thought about it, it makes fucking sense, don't it? No, you're not running around calling black people the N-word. You know that it's wrong. You've been taught that it's wrong. They've been taught that it's wrong. How many of y'all have had a black person bully you and try to start a fight with you and say, call me the N-word? Come on, honky, I dare you. Call me the N-word. I dare you. Call me the N-word. Now that you think about it, other than those of you in small towns who don't even know what a black person looks like up close, now that you think about it, you're making the connection there, aren't you? Another statistic you might want to pay attention to is that men are taught that sexual assault is not sexual assault when it's committed against them. We're taught that if a woman commits sexual assault against us, it's not sexual assault because she's a woman. Imagine that. Imagine if we got special treatment for the LGBT, where you could rape somebody and get away with it because you're LGBT. Is that what you want? It's okay to be gay. It's okay to be flamboyantly gay. It's not okay to be a flamboyant asshole. If you're going to be an asshole to somebody else and then go, oh, but I'm black, it's a race crime. You want to bully somebody else for being a breeder, and then you want to go, oh, it's a hate crime because I'm gay. Motherfucker, we wouldn't even know you were gay if you weren't advertising it. First of all. Second of all, just because you're advertising it doesn't mean that you're targeted for being a homosexual. Chances are pretty good that you're not being targeted for being a homosexual. Chances are pretty good that you're being a fucking self-righteous prick. And you're being called out for being a fucking prick. Oh my God, he wouldn't let me berate him and bully him and treat him like shit for having a penis but not using it in dudes. Like, holy hell. There are lots of homosexuals that are not like that. Why aren't they being heard? Why isn't the news media asking these grown-ass men who are homosexuals, who are not flamboyant assholes. Oh yeah, because they're not advertising. A lot of the homosexual men I know have been in long-term homosexual relationships, and really, other than their close friends, nobody knows. For the most part, nobody cares. Now, there's several homosexuals that I knew in Boulder, Colorado that were so extremely flamboyant, wearing colored yarn in their hair, weaving different colors of yarn into their hair, making sure they put rainbows on everything. Everything is rainbow. That list is heavy. That list is heavy. Then once he gets a boyfriend, then he can go back to being a regular dude. Doesn't have to advertise anymore. A lot of guys I know, they get a girlfriend who she was dressed into the nines until she got together with him. And much like those homosexual guys that were very much trying to advertise so that people knew they were gay, so they could get a boyfriend, so they could have somebody that they could hold. But once they had the boyfriend, they didn't have to advertise anymore. Now, how many women, once you were dating them, they don't dress to the nines, they don't put on makeup, they don't try anymore? Well, that's fine for most guys. For most guys, they are fine with you not dressing to the nines. You don't have to do that to impress the majority of men. What is it that bugs a man in a relationship like that, though? When she's going to get jealous if he even looks the direction of another man or woman, she's going to get jealous if he looks in the direction of another human being. If he looks in the direction of another woman, he must be a gawking perv who doesn't care about her. Meanwhile, if he busts her blatantly staring at some rippling-abbed individual while talking about how men are superficial, no. So, dear LGBT community, I've been fighting for your rights most of my life. How many of you are fighting for mine? How many of you who told me, hey, Sean, if you ever need anything, just ask. And when I needed something, you wanted to make it about how you got it worse than me because you're a homosexual. No, you fucking don't. It's kind of like women want to, oh yeah, sure, they'll help me. But when I call them up, talking about themselves is all they give a shit about. That's what special rights does. There are many people in the LGBT community who are not abusing their special rights. The people that we see abusing those special rights are primarily flamboyant assholes. Many of them with a chip on their shoulder because they've been advertising. Most of these homosexuals, these are dudes. They just happen to be attracted to guys. These are dudes that are not interested in fucking rainbows and fairies and fucking unicorns and shit. They still want to work on their Mach 1. They still want to work on their Ford Mustang. They still want to work on their fucking Chevy Silverado. They still want to drive around in their mudding truck up in the mountains. These are still dudes. These are guys who are raised with guy interests. Do have some of those guy interests. I know some women who are into auto mechanicing. They like fixing vehicles. Women who are not gay. See, this gender role thing is not a gender role thing. Most of it is survival skills. I know a lot of women right now who are complaining, oh, well, a man shouldn't expect a woman to cook. And a woman cooking, that's not a woman's job, that's a survival skill. Yes, but it's a survival skill that the majority of the women who are bitching that men expect them to cook, none of these women have cooked a meal for a man ever. They can't even cook for themselves because they don't think that they should have to conform to a gender role. Hey, dummy! You still need to eat. You gonna mooch off of dudes to buy you McDonald's for the rest of your life, or are you gonna learn how to fucking cook a hamburger for yourself? Had over 50 of these restricted calls yesterday, didn't we? What are these? These are stalkers. Stalkers who decided that I was a heterosexual, so I must be a rapist. Stalkers who decided that I'm a white person, so I must be sexist. Stalkers who decided that I'm a heterosexual. By the way, I'm not. I'm not a heterosexual. I have never been a heterosexual. Meanwhile, my friends in the LGBT community want to keep calling me a breeder. My friends in the straight community want to call me derogatory terms that they use for homosexuals. Oh, these are good friends, ain't they? No, it's what I'm fucking stuck with. Black people don't give a fuck about me. I'm not black. MMIW doesn't give a fuck about me. I'm not native, and I'm not a woman. Despite that fact, Mark Swanigan is black. He's a badass. Phoenix Brian Priester is a homosexual and black, and he is a badass. Ain't no doubt. The man has lived this long with HIV. Mark Swanigan grew up in Chicago, Illinois. Grew up with real poverty, and of course, that's something that he brings with him everywhere. He left Chicago, I want to say, in the late 60s, early 70s, and literally never went back. But any story anybody's got to tell about the abuse that they've endured, Mark Swanigan is going to do what he does, which is start talking about himself and how bad it was being a black man in a black community in Chicago, Illinois. Phoenix, you can't tell him about your problems because he's got it worse because he's gay. He's got it worse because he's black. But that's not the reality of the situation. He's just assuming that he's got it worse because he's black. Just assuming that he's got it worse. Because he's taught, like most black people, that everything is a white man's fault, even if it's not. We've taught women to say that everything is a man's fault, even if it's not. We get to see how once in a great while the LGBT community will collaborate with somebody else. We had some black homosexuals that were part of the BLM situation. They felt that they should still have rights and spoke up about the fact that even the black community ostracizes, berates, and pushes them away at arm's length. Treats them like they are going to be pedophiles because they're gay or bi or otherwise. We've got the black community pushing this heavy, very specifically the black community. That's not to say that none of these white communities are doing the same. Myself, a black man, and a white man yesterday had a conversation about white people. We all seem to agree on one point. Now, we all have different sexual orientations. All three of us. Completely different sexual orientations. Now, what is it that we were talking about? We were talking about white people. And Dora was asking, she said, she wanted to make a point about white people. She said, well, aren't you white? I said, no. She said, you mean Caucasian? I said, no, I mean white. She said, well, aren't you white? I said, no, I'm Caucasian. Now, her and the other gentlemen that were there, well, what we were talking about and explaining is that you can be a white person of any color. See, there's a difference between being a white person and a Caucasian. Barack Obama is white. Donald Trump is white. I'm a Caucasian. Now, the black man, Dora was part of the conversation. She's a woman. She's also, I believe, Native Hawaiian, but I'm not for certain. But the thing is that her part of the conversation was important. Even though there was men talking, her part of the conversation was important. All of us who were there valued what she had to say, even if we might have disagreed with it. And she listened to understand. And of course, she, by the end of it, was naming off people who are white versus people who are Caucasian. And perfectly, might I add. She was able to understand the difference between a white person and a Caucasian. Now, it was explained to me best, I believe, by Mark Swanigan. I believe this is a Mark Swanigan quote, but don't quote me on that. Said, it's not the white man that kills, but the white mentality. Now, what is the white mentality? That's the Southern slave bullshit that we teach everybody. That's the white mentality. I voted for Barack Obama because he's black, but I was wrong. I voted along racial lines, whereas with Colin Powell, I would have voted on him based on his politics and his beliefs. If Colin Powell had run for president, I would have voted for him, not because of his skin color. I voted for Barack Obama because I was sick and tired of hearing people blame everything on white people. I wanted to see if maybe somebody else might be able to do a better job. The problem is, I assumed, like many people, I assumed that because of the color of his skin, he knew something about living through adversity. He didn't. Still doesn't. Meanwhile, all of us agreed yesterday, all three of us men, me, the black man, and he was a white guy, we all agreed on a lot of things. And Dora, she definitely agreed on a lot of stuff too. She also spoke about some of her personal experience. Someone calling himself Grigori Israelian typed, bro, you are Amish. No, I'm not. But I get how you would think that. I suppose if I shaved off my mustache, I'd look even more Amish, wouldn't I? But I don't speak Pennsylvania Dutch. I don't have a horse and buggy. And I'm not going to be that asshole going down the interstate at fucking 8 miles a goddamn hour, holding up traffic. The fact that I drive like a grandma, usually 2 to 3 miles below the speed limit, pisses people off enough. I'm pretty sure if I was Amish, I'd have to kick myself in the ass for being an inconsiderate fuckwad. Is that to say that Amish people are inconsiderate fuckwads? No. Just the assholes who want to take their buggy at 8 miles an hour down the fucking interstate. That is a fucking bullshit move if ever there was one. See, it's one thing for BLM to lay down in the middle of a major intersection and block traffic because America wants to turn a blind eye to all these murders, and these are murders. Now, obviously, I speak out against BLM, but I marched with BLM. I laid down on the bricks with BLM. When BLM first come out, I thought it was a good thing. I thought the rhetoric that we were being sold about BLM, about how if we help out BLM, they're fighting for all our rights, not just black people. Turns out BLM is as anti-hobo as anyone else. Gregory, Israeli and type 2. Where are you from, bro? Which state? I was born in Nebraska, the same state as Malcolm X. I was born in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, on October 18th, 1980 at 10:27 a.m. Malcolm X was born on the other end of the state. He's from Omaha. Let's see, message held for review. Gregory, Israeli and typed, Americans should have drove through BLM. Why is that message hidden? And you're absolutely right. Americans should have driven right through BLM. I'm actually going to show that comment. There's nothing wrong with that comment. Now, Gregory, I'm going to explain to you something here. My channel is an autocratic dictatorship. The reason for that is because in real life, I can't get rid of my predators. In real life, if people are trolling me at my vehicle and threatening harm against me, I have to take the abuse. Here on the internet, when somebody wants to troll me, sell false narratives, or be a dick, I can do the same thing that the police and the courts did. The police and the courts prevented me from speaking, prevented me from showing up at my court date. Now, what's the difference between that and me dumping people off that come on my channel to troll? My rights as a human being were violated. My rights as an American were violated. My rights as a disabled person were violated. Over and over again, and continue to be violated. For me, there are consequences. For you, it's just a fucking opinion. No offense. Let's see, Gregory, Israeli and typed, I'm not an American, but it hurts me when I see how Americans lose their country and greatness. Oh, America was never great. America was never great. Now, when it comes to Israel, I've had a lot of people since Natalie's death that wanted to pretend like they would help me from all sorts of different countries. Israel, Palestine. Most of their opinions and be heard, which I'm not against, but there's an appropriate platform for that. My channel is not for other people's opinions. It's for showing the truth. It's for stopping the violence, stopping the rape, stopping the child molesters. But the fact is that the number one most likely people to kill you, 62% of violent deaths against children are perpetrated by one of the parents. By the way, that's equal rates. Statistically, women are a lot more likely to kill their own children than the father. The mother is more likely to beat her children than the father. A woman is 5 times more likely to beat her children than a man. There's also the difference between death and a violent death. See, apparently, drowning your child or poisoning your child are not considered violent deaths. 31% of children who are killed, 31% of them are killed by their mother, violently. 31% are killed by the father, violently. That's 62% of all children who were killed in the United States. 62%. That is an overwhelming majority killed by parents. But then there's the other forms of death. Poisoning your children to death. Women are a lot more likely to do that than men. A lot more likely. Women are a lot more likely to stuff a pillow over their child's face or drown them in a bathtub. Women are more likely to kill their children in a fashion that is considered nonviolent by a lot. Some statistics here in the United States, as we all know, connection issues. When we've got women killing children at a higher rate, and then, of course, they're also doing these things to the men that they're with or other men in their immediate vicinity, we get to see how many of these women who kill their children blame men. It's men's fault that they chose to drown their children. It's men's fault that they chose to shoot their children. It's men's fault, men's fault, men's fault. It's always men's fault, isn't it? No accountability. And as long as we don't hold women accountable the same way we hold men accountable, they're going to continue to be the largest, most... Alright, how was that stated in the article? The largest growing criminal group in the country. The more women get away with it and get a slap on the wrist, the more they know they're going to get away with it and just get a slap on the wrist. When a man who is a teacher has sex with a student, he's going to serve, on average, 40 years. We've had 5 male teachers this year who have been busted doing immoral shit. 2 of them had sex. 2 of them had sex with their students. Out of the 21 women who are teachers who have been busted already this year, 17 of them had sex with students. What's the average sentence for a male? 40 years. What's the average sentence for a female? 8 months. 8 months. I don't follow the Christian rhetoric of hating homosexuals because that's not Christian. I've read the Bible more than once. I've read the Quran more than once. The stuff that I keep hearing about how horrible Muslims are, the reality is, that's not what I've seen about the Muslim community. That's not what I've seen from the Muslim community. And what I've seen from the media is that the media is showing extreme racism, extreme religious intolerance by literally lying to us about what Palestinians in America have been doing. Claiming that flags with slogans supporting Palestine, supporting the lives of Palestinians. And the media wanted to tell us that these were hate slogans against Americans, against Christians. Mainstream media did this. Anyway, when it comes to the LGBT community, you know what? I've been fighting for you guys my whole life. You can listen to over a dozen people in the LGBT community who were my friends before Natalie was killed. And you get to hear every single one of them tell me that I'm not a part of the LGBT community according to them. Well, why not? Is it because you have assumed and projected onto me that I must be attracted to women? That I must be exclusively attracted to women? My sexual orientation is not up for you to debate. I don't try to convince you that you aren't really gay, do I? Oh, you're not really gay. No, you just think you're gay. But really, you're not. You don't get to be a part of the LGBT community because you're not actually gay. You don't have to be gay to be a part of the LGBT community. You can be bisexual. You can be absolutely not fucking interested as well, which is what I am. Not fucking interested. My sexual orientation is NFI. Not fucking interested. Matter of fact, it'd be nice if all started using NFI. That would make me feel better as a human being. Like I had done something. Like I had done something productive. At least, if we can have people who are not fucking interested still qualify as human beings, that would be great. Instead of having it projected onto me that because I told predators who are harming me to leave me the fuck alone, that I must be some sort of a sexual predator who couldn't take no for an answer. No, Jason Vogt couldn't take no for an answer. Ryan James couldn't take no for an answer. Kelly Engel couldn't take no for an answer. Natalie Bollinger couldn't take no for an answer. There's lots of people just absolutely refuse to take no for an answer, like Shannon Alvarado. When people stalk me and I ask them to leave me alone, is it respected? No. These people walk right over my boundaries, and they know that they can. Not one of you have helped me to turn in these crimes. Any one of you who claimed to be my friend, who I stuck up for and even protected and defended with my own body for some of you. I was assaulted on multiple occasions for sticking up for Ryan James. How grateful is he for that? He's not. He was at the time, but after the fact, oh no, it's just some thing that he's able to downplay, and he's only able to downplay it because I fucking stepped in and took the lumps.